Welcome back to That Impact Show. I'm your host, Shar Moore, the show where we talk about all things impact. Today's guest is Ania Halama. She is a world traveller who has helped thousands of heart-centered entrepreneurs align with their ideal clients to attract wealth, health, love, mental health, and spiritual wealth. Ania is a two-time best-selling author, a host of Spirituality for Badass Babes podcast, and the co-founder of Project Save the Toads. Her passion is to use her eye for beauty, knowledge, for business and love, for self-discovery and healing to impact as many lives as possible. Ania, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much, Shar. It's a pleasure to be here.
I'm excited to chat with you because the work you do is so unique and different. And as we had a chat earlier, you've got so many tools in your toolkit. Before we dive into all of those modalities that you offer your clients, take us back to where this all started, Ania.
Yes. Ooh, that's a story I haven't shared in quite a bit. And it's actually from my first book, Rebel's Guide to Spirituality. So my background, I had to grow up very, very quickly. I had to grow up very quickly. My dad was in a work accident when I was 10 years old, and we were immigrants to the United States. So I was the one that when he got in a work accident, I had to go to all of the doctor's offices, all of the legal offices, translate all the documents, learn words no 10-year-old should have to learn. And because of that, I had a lot of trauma around my father, me having to grow up quickly, a lot of childhood trauma. And because we had our income taken away at that point, we were immigrants, so my parents didn't make a lot of money at that point either. I had to take care of my family at a very, very young age. So at the age of 16, I took my first graphic design class, and I call it my old career. That's what I did in corporate America for a long time. Very different than what I do now. But I took my first graphic design class, and I'm like, I freaking love this. This is amazing. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. The rest of my life was very short at that point. I studied graphic design and branding for certain clients. It's very different how I go about doing graphic design and branding now. But I was like, this is what I want to do. I really love this. And I was always very artsy. And so I walked into my counselor's office. I was like, okay, how can I graduate as soon as possible? I want to go to college. This is what I want to do. So I graduated high school early, went to college, graduated college early. I graduated with my first bachelor's at 19, my second bachelor's at 22. And just life happens to manifest in beautiful ways. When I was in college, I had a girlfriend whose boyfriend had a design agency. So she's like, oh, he's looking for an intern. If you want, he can hire you. The job is yours. I'm like, amazing, fantastic. So I tell people I started working in corporate America at the age of like 16, 17 years old. Everyone's like, aren't you like 22? I'm like, no, but thank you. I'll appreciate that. 15 years. They're like, aren't you 22? So I was working for a very long time and making a lot of income, helping to support my family, which also caused me to have a lot of trauma around that. Not only the trauma around my father, but also the stress of life, or growing up really easily. Then I had a lot of pains. My dad ended up stealing a lot of money from me, like hundreds of thousands of dollars, all in my book. You can read the story thoroughly there. It was crazy. So I just had a lot of trauma. It came to a point where I had anxiety, depression, insomnia. I was going blind. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. Like, I wasn't eating. I had horrible celiac disease. Like, I was going to the bathroom once a month. Like, it was very, very, very sick. And Western medicine just wasn't working for me anymore. So I was looking for a way to heal myself, essentially. And I was like, okay, like, I'm young right now. I can either look for another job. This was also a point in my career where I was like butting heads with my manager, and I can either look for another job or do something crazy. So I'm like, I'm gonna go do something crazy. So I bought a one-way ticket to Thailand. Actually, I lived in Thailand for a year, bought a one-way ticket to Thailand, sold all my stuff, put everything else in storage, sold my car, sold my apartment. And that's kind of where my healing journey began. While in Thailand, I didn't have any of the stresses of life, of a job, of my family, of all the stuff that was causing me that stress. And I started naturally, slowly healing myself. I got on a regular meditation routine. Meditation alone, just getting on a regular meditation practice, healed 85% of all of my ailments. And I was like, okay, well, like, this is great. If I can heal myself with this, let's see what else I can do. So that's when I really started getting engraved in all of these different spiritual toolbox things that I have. Because I'm also a person that if I like something, I go head first and I'm like, I'm going to study it like crazy. So I started healing my IBS. I healed my IBS with just Reiki alone. I'm certified in Reiki currently, and so many other different things for all these different ailments. And it came to a point where I'm like, okay, well, if I can heal myself, I can help other people heal as well. And that's when I started really learning all of these different modalities and getting certified in all of these different modalities. And while traveling, so my background was in graphic design and marketing. That's what I did in corporate America for a long time. Leaving corporate America, it was really easy for me to transition into the spiritual, into the online realm, because graphic design is online, essentially on the computer. So it was really easy. About 2 years into traveling, I hired my first mentor, and he's like, you know, marketing really well. Why don't you start coaching? Why don't you start business coaching? I was like, why don't I start business coaching? That's a great idea. So I did business coaching for a while. And then once I really got into my spirituality, that's when I was like, all right, I like spirituality. I like doing this. Let's do spiritual business coaching. So I'm still doing business coaching because that's what I'm familiar with. And about 3 years ago, I switched over to just spiritual coaching. And now I help people with limiting beliefs, helping them heal themselves, manifest, attracting things into their lives, and just really become the best versions of themselves by aligning themselves with what they truly want and what they truly desire. And anything is their possibility.
Oh my goodness, Ania, amazing. Friends listening, I'm sure you're like, wow, what a woman. Like, there's so much you've done, and you're just like, let me at life. I love it. So I want to go back to, you said earlier around, having to leave your home and run away essentially and just go find yourself, right? And you moved to Thailand for a year, and that's where your healing journey began. I'm curious to know, Ania, with someone with your experience in all the different industries you've been in and now the work you do, why is it that people, in your opinion, and with all the clients you work with, why is it that people wait until there's no other option before they go and heal themselves? Why do we wait for the doctor to say, you've got X amount of time left, this is going to happen? Why do we wait for that ultimatum or the hammer to drop?
Well, for me personally, it wasn't that I was waiting until that last moment. It's just I tried so many different things in the Western world. I was going to a different doctor at least once a week, like trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and it just wasn't working. And at that point, I'm like, okay, my health is more important. I know a lot of it has to do with my traumas, and it has to do with me working in a toxic environment and being home with my father. I was like, I'm going to take myself as far away as possible. Right. And try this Eastern medicine thing. Maybe like other people do it, like it works for them. So maybe it's going to work for them. I don't think people necessarily wait till the very last moment. It's just they're trying with all of this, all of the information that they have, because they're used to it. They're used to going to the doctor. They're used to seeking out professional help from someone like the Western culture, because that's just how we grow up. That's what we're used to. They're not necessarily familiar with the different alternative modalities and the stuff that I teach, but the world is changing, the world is shifting, and like we're starting to get more familiar with acupuncture or like aligning your chakras or meditating. This is becoming more mainstream now, but people are more aware of it now. It's just they might not know about it yet. They're like, okay, I'm going to keep the doctor and keep hearing no's from this doctor. Okay, once I hear enough no's, once I go to enough doctors, I'm like, okay, I'm going to seek another way out.
Right. Yes, no, that makes total sense. That makes total sense. Now, for those of us that don't know what Xpansion Alchemy is, please tell us.
Yes, Xpansion Alchemy is my new baby, and I love it so much. So Expansion Alchemy is a alternative healing, alternative learning center. It is an online school. It's an all virtual school in the realms of personal development, health, relationships, spirituality, and business. We have 15 teachers on staff, each giving one live masterclass a month. We have classes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Eastern. So you, Shar, if you show up to the classes, you'll probably be on the 8 p.m. classes.
Yeah.
Daytime for you.
Correct.
But people in the US, Canada, etc., they usually show up to the 1 o'clock classes. And we teach different modalities, spirituality, personal development, maybe some breath work, maybe some business, maybe some social media. So you can fully align yourself in like what I call the wheel of life. And I'm sure many people have heard of the wheel of life, these different quadrants of what your life consists of, to fully be in alignment. Like, we're changing the way that we're learning nowadays. So why not learn virtually? My biggest inspiration for Expansion Alchemy was Mind Valley. However, with Mind Valley, and I love Mind Valley so much. However, with Mind Valley, it's like you're done with the courses, you finish it, and then you're like, now what?
Now what?
I have all of these questions. I have all of these things that need to get answered. I don't have anyone to go to. So with Expansion Alchemy, they are live interactive classes. You get access to the teachers. You can ask your questions afterwards. We have a community inside as well, where you can talk to the teachers. You can DM them. You can message them. You can talk to all the other students and like create your own little community, so you don't feel like you're doing this alone. Because honestly, like, I will go back home to Chicago and I'll tell my mom, I'm like, oh yeah, I was like manifesting and like aligning my chakras. And she's like, you're crazy, child. What are you talking about? You don't have to feel crazy. You have a community of like-minded people that are doing these things along your side. And it's a beautiful, beautiful school, beautiful community as well. And my goal is to bring it into corporations as a mental wellness benefit for employees. Because again, I had a mental breakdown when I worked in corporate America. If I had the tools today, if I had these tools today than I did back then, I would still probably be in corporate America. Thankfully, that is not my path anymore. But I would probably still be there, because I would know how to heal myself and how to work through procrastination, through team building, through stress, through anxiety, through all of these things, that burnout essentially. Yes. I would know how to get through that, and I didn't. And yes, things are shifting, things are moving in corporate America because COVID, but it's wellness is still not looked upon how it's looked upon. So my goal is to bring it into corporations and help more people so they can avoid burnout, because I don't want anyone to go through what I was going through, especially the going blind part. That was not fun.
No, I can imagine. Gosh, the amount of trauma and stress on your body when you essentially you're going blind, stuff that you don't want to see, I guess. But you talk a lot about plant medicine, and for a lot of us, when we're unwell, the first thought is go see a doctor, get a Band-Aid, whatever. So you talk a lot about plant medicine and Eastern medicine. For those of friends and me that probably doesn't understand enough, I'd love you to explain that a bit further, Ania.
Yeah, so I'm able to facilitate ayahuasca, MDMA, mushrooms. I'm trying to get into bufo as well, combo as well as many other plant medicines as well. I've studied it for a long time. I've lived in the jungle where I went to an ayahuasca school, and I'm able to facilitate this now. So plant medicines essentially take your consciousness. It depends which plant medicines. Certain plant medicines do different things. For example, ayahuasca will take you out of your consciousness essentially, and looks deep into the root of what is causing X, Y, and Z. For example, my first time where I drank ayahuasca, I wanted clarity on why my dad did the certain things to me, why he stole a bunch of money from me, why I was so sick, just clarity why my life was going the way that it was going. She showed me all of that and more. And I say she as the spirit of ayahuasca. Some people consider it genderless. I consider it a feminine spirit. But she took me on this journey, and she showed me how my dad grew up, the stuff that he went through in his life that caused him to be the person that he is today, giving me so much clarity. It's like, okay, that makes sense actually why he did those things. I was able to piece all of that together. You're literally able to look at yourself, look at your life, why certain things are coming. It's great for people who have had PTSD, people who had, I'm currently writing a book all about ayahuasca. And I'm interviewing a bunch of people that had transformational journeys with this medicine, because it's such like my path. I want to share this with the world so much. For example, one of the people I'm interviewing, he did heroin for years, did ayahuasca once, and all of a sudden stopped doing heroin. Wow. It is an incredible story, because she's like, okay, this is what your life is. This is why it's bad. Let's fix it. This is how you can fix it. And Shar and I were talking actually beforehand. It's like, I focus, part of my work that I do is I focus on the integration, because after you do any kind of plant medicine, like you're living in this la land essentially. And it's like, oh, everything's fun and dandy and great. Like coming back from the ceremony, you're like, okay, it's Monday now. I got to go back to work. Like Friday comes around and I found out my husband was cheating on me. And you're like, and you go into like manic mode again. It's like, okay, how are you taking everything that you're learning and actually integrating it into real life so you can keep living in that beautiful la land all the time? It's just another method of reprogramming your mind, reprogramming your subconscious, really diving deep into why things are happening.
Yeah, I love that. Gosh, there's so many great points in there. And I'm sure friends, you're listening going, wow, I need to listen to this again myself and take some notes down. Earlier on, Ania, you mentioned around meditation and you said it cured 85% of your ailments. Please, for the last few minutes, can you share with people that may not understand it, may not understand the power of it, may struggle with it? Like I've been someone that's tried and I'm much better at it now, but I find I meditate in a different way. I might walk on the beach and listen to music or a podcast, or I lay in the water or something. So it doesn't necessarily need to look like what we see on pictures sometimes, but take us through the power and the benefit of doing it and why it's important for all of us to kind of even find a few minutes a day to meditate.
Yeah, so meditation is not sitting on top of a mountain in Tibet with a turban on your head going, for hours.
Exactly.
That is not what meditation is. And everyone's version of meditation is different. For someone, it might be going on a walk. For someone, it might be working out. For someone, it might be a guided meditation. For someone, it might be a walking meditation. You never know. What meditation is essentially is quieting the mind. The reason why we have so much stress, so much anxiety, so many things is because that monkey chatter that we're used to is constantly going off. And if we can like quiet that little monkey in our head, that's when we start reaching new levels of enlightenment. So it's not about the quantity of meditation, because people are like, oh, it's like a 30-minute meditation. Okay, maybe I should be meditating for an hour. Like 2 minutes meditation is fine. Like it doesn't matter. It's about the quality of the meditation, not the quantity of the meditation. If you're brand new to meditating, I highly recommend just connecting to your breath. Once you connect to your breath and doing simple, for example, 7 seconds in, hold, 7 seconds out. We could do it here right now. So let's take a deep breath in, hold it, and release. Doing several rounds of that. And if you need a focal point, it's really good to focus like right in between where your nose and the top of your lip are. So again, it allows you to not focus on your mind, not focus on that monkey chatter, and then focusing on a point. Just a breath alone is so good. Breath with meditation together, because like if you study yoga, if you're doing any kind of yoga, they'll tell you to focus on your breath, focus on your body. That's a type of meditation right there. So breath, there's studies right now that show us that we only reach 5% of our conscious mind. The rest 95% is unconscious. if we focus on our breath, that connects us to that conscious, because we're consciously connecting to our breath, and we need to keep rising that. So when I started meditating, just simply meditating, I love guided meditations. To this day, I still do guided meditations because, again, that monkey chatter, and I have a lot of
I
it.
do the same. And a guided meditation
so
walk.
Exactly. So that'll give you a focus point to get out of your mind and focus on whoever you're going to do in this guided meditation with, to focus on whatever they're saying, and then focusing on your breath. It could help alleviate stress, anxieties, depressions, like any kind of like mental ailments that you have inside your head. And it's fantastic. Like, everyone has 2 minutes out of their day to meditate. Every single person. Just open your eyes. For me, it's a non-negotiable. As soon as I open my eyes, I will do a 15-20 minute meditation, and I might do several of them throughout the day. Sometimes I'm like stressed in between meetings, and I'm like, all right,
God,
to the breath, and that's enough just to, again, get out of that mind.
Yes, I love that. So, friends, you're watching this, you're hearing, you're seeing Ania talk, and I really want us all to commit to each other. And, leave us a comment wherever you're watching or listening this, that you're going to commit even a couple of minutes a day, and let us know how it goes. I think Ania and I would both like to hear from you. Ania, you've been an absolute pleasure to speak with today. As we wrap up, if you would like to share some thoughts or comments on what's happening in the world right now. There's a lot of people feeling really lost and displaced, and if you are someone who tunes into the news, you can get caught up in all of the doom and gloom. What's a message that you would like to give them from all of your experience?
First off, my heart goes out to everyone going through anything right now. I personally understand how hard it is, and how hard it is to try to look for that kind of escape. We all might be looking for that kind of escape. My heart goes out to every single person that is going through any kind of trauma right now. And there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of trauma right now. There's a lot of grief right now as well. Do not give in to the fears. Do not give in to the griefs. If start with something as simple as meditation, starting internally. We have all of the answers internally. There's no need for you to be turning on the TV and being like, okay, that's all the fear, that's all the craziness going on. Turn internally, whether that's doing a meditation, whether that's doing an ecstatic dance, whether that's just like putting on headphones and listening to a good song while going on a walk. Who cares? Turn internally, because you have all of the answers already inside of you. You don't need the outside world to dictate your inside world. All of it comes from your inside, and that's where happiness comes from as well. You can turn to that happiness, because that's what we want to turn to. We want to turn to the happiness, the joy, the love. Love is the highest frequency of all, and you have it all within you. So turn inward and look inward.
I love that. Some great advice there, Ania. And, it's the Impact 1 Million show. So thank you for helping us reach our goal a little closer today in impacting 1 million lives. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.